When you lost to Chez last year, you had Braylon and some guys who are inexperienced. This year, you lose Braylon, but you got Chez back, you got the kid from Oklahoma, you've got some young kids coming in, some kids who had to play for you last year, and Adrian and Yak. Do you think that room is going to be deeper, more versatile, and able to withstand an injury or two this year?
Well, I think naturally we're going to be deeper because we're going to have more bodies in the room than we did last year. And yeah, I think there's guys that played a lot of, very reasonable amount of snaps and some meaningful snaps that allowed them to grow with confidence and be able to grow with their technique and the things that they put on tape. So yeah, I think we're going to be a lot deeper in that room.
What did you lose with Chez when he went down last year, and what do you hope he can give you with his return?
I think Chez is a very decisive runner. I think he's got a good feel for all of the run schemes that we do as an offense, and being able to have him back with that comfortability. It doesn't matter what play gets called. I know that we're going to advance the football. So that's kind of what you get with him consistently.
What kind of conversations did you have with him, if there were any, about his desire to come back, and also how he can put himself in position to make it through a full season?
Those are conversations that were had between him and I. If he wants to answer those, he can answer them, but I'm going to keep those between him and I.
We've heard a lot about Chez's leadership through last season and the season, even when he was injured. Like, how do you see that in your room, especially now when you got younger guys and some guys are maybe asked to play some different roles?
I think he's done a phenomenal job growing his leadership in the room specifically. He's like having another coach out there. He'll see something, he'll go up and he'll talk to one of the younger guys and tell him something that he needs to be able to fix to be able to be better on the next rep if it was something that I missed. So he speaks his mind. If there's things that aren't going well in practice, he'll say that. He'll speak up and talk to the guys in the room, and it's very helpful.
Did you know much about Walker before he came here?
Yeah, just through the recruiting process of recruiting him out of the transfer portal. He's a very good kid, comes from a really good family. His family came up on the official visit, and he's very humble, and he's very hungry also. So it's a good combination.
In terms of a player, though, I never got to saw him play at Oklahoma, but what have you seen from him so far this spring? I know it's early, but he looks like he's pretty comfortable.
Plays with a lot of physicality. He's a very physical back. He makes very good decisions with the ball in his hands, and he finishes all of his runs consistently.
What about receiver? His hands.
Yeah, he can catch the ball well too. Yep.
Then when the dust settles in the fall, how many guys do you want to grade? What's an ideal number to have? That you say, hey, I want this X amount number.
I think truthfully that's up to the room. I think it's up to their ability to be able to learn and be able to perform out on the field when we have our scrimmages and when we go in fall camp, and being able to show their information, retention, and being able to put good things on tape.
You have two freshmen coming in this summer in the recruiting process. What did you like about Darian and Dylan? What do you think they can add to this room?
Both of them are very talented. I think Darian's versatility is what separates him from other running backs, and I think Dylan's decisiveness reminds me a lot of Chez. I think that's what separates him from the other running backs. I'm very excited to be able to get my hands on those guys, and I'm looking forward to getting them here.
You excited them too? Just this is a developmental process and everything, but what excites you the most about the promise that this room brings for the upcoming fall?
I just think there's a lot of different styles of runners in the room, and I think that gives you natural depth and comfortability of going into a season knowing, what type of runner that each of them are, to be able to package that and be able to come up with your game plan specifically to those types of guys.
Because you've got a lot of guys who are maybe, more of a change of pace type of guy, and then you also have those bruisers, those physical running backs. What kind of, when you see those guys, what's like the complement like, and what do you guys kind of like about having both types of running backs in the room?
I think you answered it. You have guys that are slashers, you got guys that are bruisers. To be able to have both of those guys is a blessing, and truthfully, I think it helps your offense through momentum and, situationally as well.
With someone like talk about Darian and Dylan, but Gideon came in early. Just how is he kind of being a true freshman, pick off the offense through 6 practices, and how have you seen him progress early on too?
He's super smart. He's done a really good job of being able to take the information that we're teaching and putting it on tape, and he plays with a lot of physicality. He never goes down without a fight, and his contact balance is very, very good. I'm really excited about him as well.
What did the bowl game just tell you about Cade and Jackson, as obviously they're kind of in a tough spot being behind 2 senior running backs and then all those young running backs that you recruited too?
Yeah, like I said, they had some meaningful snaps before that as well. Jackson started playing earlier than Cade did, and being able to have both of those guys get those meaningful snaps against really good opponents and really good talent just gives them the opportunity to grow their confidence and feel more comfortable when they play in the game. So I thought they both did an excellent job in bowl prep and in the bowl game, and I'm excited watching them go and compete out here as well.
Coach, first year evals for yourself, what did you like about the first year? Where'd you see some places for improvement?
I think I just got to continue to try to grow everybody in the room. I got to coach everybody with the same consistency, and we got to be able to have a lot more depth to feel comfortable putting guys in the game.
Coach, with the freshmen coming in, you guys have 8 bodies that are on scholarship. Is this the most you've kind of had ever in a room? And what are maybe some of the positives and maybe even some of the negatives when you have so many guys that are that talented in the room?
Yeah, it's most that I've had, and obviously the negative is you got one football, right? So you got to find opportunities and times to be able to grow everybody and give them equal amount of reps. But the advantage is obvious. You just have more bodies. And again, I think the guys that we have in our room are very, very talented.
Is there anything with Tyree that you've seen on the field that you didn't expect, from watching his film that he's putting on film right now in the spring?
Like I said, I just think he's very decisive, and I think he's very, very physical.
Seems like Cade's kind of cleaned up some of the fumbling issues that maybe he had over the last year. Is that a big focus for him this offseason?
That's a big focus for the entire offense. We have to be better at ball security, especially in our room.
You've mentioned before it's up to the room to decide how many guys you want to play, but in a best case scenario, do you want 2 guys to share the load? I mean, is that more realistic than having Ches handle 80% of the carries? Like, what do you think makes the most sense based on the room that you have?
Like I said before, it's up to the room. It depends on how we do here, how we do in fall camp, and who's ready to play. If you're ready to play, you're going to be on the field. So,
What do you think this group just misses the most when you lose a player like Braylon in terms of things that you're just not going to be able to replicate no matter how many bodies you're able to throw out there?
Obviously the size and the in-game experience. Obviously, Ches and Tal, we have a lot of in-game experience, but Braylon probably had the most when we had him, and he did a phenomenal job of understanding what he was getting across from him, and I think our guys are progressing and being able to do that as well right now.
With Braylon, being the bell cow at times last year after Chez's injury, we obviously saw him handle a lot of the load. What are some of the benefits maybe for you when you have a guy who can be able to handle the load, but also maybe working in a rotation where everyone's kind of staying fresh? What's kind of like the downside for both sides or upside?
I think the upside, again, is just having more bodies. When guys go in the game, they are going to be more fresh, and you're going to be able to play more people, and more people are going to be able to get opportunities to be able to give your offense the best chance to be able to reach its full potential.
How was Nate White improved from last year?
I'm sorry?
How was Nate White improved from last year?
Nate White's done a phenomenal job. First and foremost, he's put on the weight that we've asked him to put on, and he's grown mentally. You can see how the confidence that he's displaying while running the football. He's playing with more physicality, and his ability to use his elusiveness is second to none in my opinion.
How hard is it for someone like Nate where you have experience, 4 guys that have game experience, and I think you traveled, for sure, I think it was Minnesota game last year, but just how hard is it for someone like a redshirt freshman to try to find reps with maybe, maybe first team reps when you have so much experience ahead of them?
That's the game of football, right? You got to continue to work, you got to continue to grow, and you got to stick with it, and you got to find ways to be able to shine when you're given the opportunities.
What's it been like working with AJ Blazik, the new offensive line coach, in tandem with your guys, as well as a veteran offensive line group that's going to stick around?
I love Coach Blazik. He's come in here, he's done a phenomenal job. He's got a lot of juice, he's got a lot of energy, he brings a lot of experience and knowledge, and you can see the improvements already.
Talking about that offensive line group, where have you maybe seen improvements, especially in the run blocking area, like through the first few practices of spring, and what are you maybe looking for in that group as your group in there, of course, with cohesion?
Yeah, like I said, I think they've improved tremendously in all areas since Coach Blas has been here, and I'm just looking forward to be able to run behind the boys.
When it comes just to recruiting wise, just is the approach change in terms of what type of running back you're looking for, like after signing a 3 running back class, and just finding compliments or finding who can, what you have in the room compared to what you want in the room down the road?
We want to go after the best players.
What is the